Good evening and welcome back, everybody. Hey, feel free to comment on this. You can email me using the email address I put in the description for this video, or you can feel free to comment on what you think about the list so far. If you think, especially get down the list, if there's any clear omissions or some of the rankings you completely disagree with, this is what it's all about, just having a dialogue about it. So I'm sure there's a lot of diehard Sox fans that have some different opinions on there. And God forbid, I may have missed a player here that needed to go somewhere on this list. So yeah, this was all about. Please feel free to comment. I'm filming all of these at once, even though I'm releasing them over the course of several days. So I'll respond to comments through email and also through using the chat feature on YouTube, but I won't be able to incorporate it into the video until we're all done with it. So I probably will do like a wrap-up video at some point near the end of the week. All right, so we left off with number 21, which was Ray Schalk. So we're going to pick up now with number 20. This player actually is a pitcher that I guess more or less began to start modernizing the modern relief role. I think it was further solidified probably in the 1970s with like Raleigh Fingers and Goose Gossage. This guy was doing a lot of long relief, some starting and some closing during the course of the 1950s and 60s, and had a heck of a knuckleball. White Sox have a long history of having a lot of knuckleballers in their organization, and this was no exception. So this guy, even though he didn't spend maybe the predominant of time with the White Sox as he bounced around a lot of teams, he did spend probably the longest period with the White Sox. So I put him on the list at number 20, and he is a Hall of Famer, and it's Hoyt Wilhelm. So I have the 1967 Topps card here of him in a White Sox uniform. His rookie back in the 50s. I don't have that card. In fact, his rookie card's one of the more expensive one of the 50s because it's in the high series of 1952. But you can get a Hoyt Wilhelm pretty affordably and in great condition, just because it's not one of those really top tier Hall of Fame cards. And you can even get his autograph pretty inexpensive if you choose to do that, which I am not at this point. But Hoyt Wilhelm, I put down as number 20. Some of the accomplishments for Hoyt, obviously being in the Hall of Fame, is one of the big ones. He ended his career of 228 saves, but he also won 143 games. So you know he was in there a lot, and he actually won an ERA title as a starter before he became a reliever. Just quite an accomplishment for this guy. And appeared in 8 All-Star games. His last card is in the high series of 1972 Topps. So that's kind of cool that he ended in the high series as a rookie card, and then also ended his career in the high series for Topps in 1972. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so now we're going to move on to number 19. And actually, this guy is a current ball player. So this guy potentially could continue to move up the list. And even though his WAR at this point through his career is only 29.6, I got to give this guy some break because he couldn't start his career in the United States as easily as many other people because he was living in Cuba. And that's Jose Abreu. So I kind of give a lot of breaks to some of the Cuban ball players. Doesn't look like this actually will hold in here all that well. I think it slides. The BGS ones slide out of here, so the Beckett holders. So let me flip this around real quick and put him over here. Hopefully I don't have any more Beckett holders at this one right now. But Jose Abreu, so he's won Rookie of the Year and an MVP. Not a lot of guys have done that, and a lot of those guys that have done that have actually ended up in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that just because he had such a late start in his career, and his WAR when compared to other first basemen is, not as high. He's my favorite current White Sox. I wish him kind of the best. I think he's going to have a special place in our organization, and he's just slowly moving up some of the all-time career list ladder. He is our most consistent performer, and he is our leader of the team along with Tim Anderson. All right, so we're actually going to move on now to, on my list, I got number 18. It's actually going to be another first baseman. Kind of in the same mold of Jose Abreu. This guy was a leader with us during our time with us. It's Paul Konerko. I had to put him on this list. So Paul Konerko is one of my favorite players during the time that he played at the organization. Paul Konerko, I think, even though his WAR is a 28.1, played during a time when there was a lot of competition at first base during the American League, and guys also that were using too. So it's kind of really hard to say like where does his true numbers lie. But this guy had over 2,300 hits, 439 home runs, and drove in 1,400 RBIs. In another era, this might be a Hall of Fame player. So I think WAR really kind of hurt his candidacy even though I think it's a fair measure to kind of see where players rank all time. He accomplishments were 6 All-Star appearances, including also an ACLS MVP award in 2005 when he went on to win the World Series. And White Sox fans probably will not forget anytime soon the grand slam he hit in Game 2 of the World Series there, which put us ahead, even though he had to end up winning in extra innings. So Paul Konerko's up there. So we've had a good list of first basemen in this short period of time. I know that Tommy, even though he wasn't a first baseman, probably at some point, he did play first base and would kind of probably be somewhere on our list if he spent more years with us. He's kind of in that honorable mention list with Dick Allen and Al Simmons in my mind. You can probably make an argument, put Tommy a little higher in the list, but he didn't quite make the top 25. All right, so Paul Konerko. All right, moving on to number 13. Number 13. I'm sorry. Let me move over. Number 17. I was looking at a wrong number in my Excel sheet. I'm going to go back to pitcher. I'm actually going to go on to Wilbur Wood. Wilbur Wood was a pretty successful pitcher for us in the 1970s, part of those Southside Hitmen, but he was the pitcher on this team. So he was the AL league leader in wins twice and was a 4-time 20-game winner during that time period. Had a career ERA of 3.24, but only 164 wins, most of which are actually with the White Sox. So that kind of limits him from kind of like moving up any further. Is that period of time when he was in the early 70s with the White Sox, he was stellar, but not quite like the stellarness of like a Sandy Koufax. So he wasn't like that far ahead of everybody else in the league, even though he was like an AL Cy Young Award candidate during his time, during those seasons when he was pitching really well. So for my money, I got Wilbur Wood on here. You'll find out a good number of the pitchers that are going to be on this list actually are left-handers, and there's no exception here with Wilbur Wood. And then that brings us to number 16, and this is a guy I do not have a card for. This is a guy that pitched at the very first decade of the last century, and his name is Doc White. He was a pitcher of a career WAR of 48.6. He got injured after a short career, most of which with the White Sox, so it kind of limited his accomplishments. But during that brief period of time, he won 189 games and had a career ERA of 2.39 and struck out 1,300 batters. Was an AL wins leader 1 year and also won the ERA title 1 year. And I think he also was the pitcher on the mound the day that the White Sox won the 1906 World Series over the Chicago Cubs. So he's an omission from my list as far as having a card, and maybe at some point I need to be able to kind of get a Doc White into my collection. So he's the first one that I don't have a card for of guys that I think should be included on this list. All right, tell me what you think. I look forward to hearing some feedback. See you tomorrow night with the next list.